what do you think? There's a lot of different architectural firms, architectural design firms. You have the design build. You have just go to your architect. What do you think is a path for clients if they were to say, how do I get started on my dream home journey?
Well, I think, being able to verbalize, what they're after. I think that, getting the wish list together and finding a way to convey that so that at least we could have some dialogue about what this might be. And then, here again, I think the sooner we're together, the better it is for the client. Because I think you also bring, all kinds of design ideas, albeit sometimes we have to mold them.
Yes, that's interesting.
That's interesting.
Yes.
But I think it's sort of just this iterative process where we, start with just, a really basic roadmap and then work our way on into, more and more clear documents that really explain what those spaces are. But it's all, my wife says I just, I sit there and draw circles and circles. And it's true.
Yeah. So as you take your clients through that early stage, putting the list together, really trying to get out of them their project vision, you take it and you start doing some conceptual designs. Usually you start with just floor plans.
Right.
Trying to say, here's the general areas of what we need in the space. Then oftentimes we'll go out to the site with them, get a ladder, look up, see where the views are. So it's conceptual plans. Then we start honing in on one floor plan. And then you got the second floor, and then you got the basement, foundation work. Then you start going from there in your design process. What's the next step?
So typically our next step is starting to dial in the exterior, trying to figure out what are the forms, what are the roofs, what are, and I think at the same time we're also talking about volumes of space. How big a room, do you want really high vaulted ceilings? Do you want high flat ceilings? Do you not care about any of that?
On some clients, they don't know. And
Exactly.
so it's guiding them to help show them what that is, right?
Exactly. So a lot of times we're looking at photographs or, looking at homes that are in progress, places where we can take them. Because I think I've had a lot of clients that have absolutely no vision whatsoever. I show them a floor plan and their eyes glass over and...
Yeah. And then we build it and like, well, I didn't understand that. And that's where it's like, okay, working to over communicate and helping them understanding the process is some of what we do together as a team. Because I can be like, hey, let's go look at this house that Karl and I did over here. And you can see, we'll measure the room. This is a 9-foot ceiling.
Exactly. So, I think the other thing that has helped us a lot, at least recently, relatively recently, is sort of the 3D aspect of what we do, with our drawings and design.
Yeah, and that can be a catch-22 so far, because I've seen some 3D renderings that people have done. Like I know you're working on one now that's very impressive 3D rendering. I've had other interior designers put together this rendering, and the clients got lost. They were just like, I don't want to see that again. That made no sense to me. It just wasn't done well. And so being able to do that 3D really well, or even the perspectives, the renderings, I think really helps explain to the clients what the home could feel like.
Right. And I think that's sort of similar to the rest of the design process, where we start with what we just called whiteboard modeling and then sort of slowly bring the materials in, but we can look inside and look at the volumes of spaces and what am I going to see from the front door? What's that material that's
underneath the soffit. And
Right.
so really bringing it to life to expand on all the details of the home. Because it is difficult from a client's perspective to say, I don't understand what kind of siding is that. You're like, okay, well, let's show you. Some clients need to see it. A 3D rendering isn't of value. They just need to go drive by, touch and feel, see a stone, see some roof lines, and really be explained that. So
Right. And I think, yes, here again, some people have the vision to be able to look at, exterior elevations and floor plans and say, I get it.
mm-hmm.
And then you're right. Some people need to touch it.
Yeah.
They need to, and that's where you start looking for something that's done, that exists, that you can.
Yeah. That's worth showing them. That doesn't scare them.
Exactly.
Sometimes our clients, that we have our luxury clienteles and more modest custom homes where people don't have the budgets to go luxury. And
Well, and I think that we together, and we at Whitten, we've certainly done, projects of all scales. I thought early in my career that I really wanted to just chase the big dogs. And I have found that I really enjoy working all across the board on modest homes. I mean, last few years we've done some tree houses, we've done decks, we've done covered porches. I think here again we sort of wander together all over the board.
yeah, tree houses.
Yeah.
What kind of tree houses need Whitten design?
Well, it was a treehouse village in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
No way.
And we designed some really cool tree houses.
That's like way out there from residential. but
Yeah.
So much fun, huh?
Yeah, it was great fun. It
Yeah.
would have been even better if I'd gotten paid.
Oh, that's a bad deal. So with your 3D renderings, do you think there's any other technology out there that you feel that, hey, is going to help clients in the future understand the design, what they feel like they're going to be getting?
I think for some people, it might be this,
Virtual?
some kind of virtual tour, put the headset on.
Uh-huh.
We've fiddled a bit with it.
Yeah.
We find that almost everybody that has been looking at it is slightly nauseated.
Yes.
Where exactly that's going, I don't know.
Well, and the cost to develop a full virtual it's costly.
We can spend an awful lot of money because we've been doing fly-throughs and all things like that, which I think work really well for most people.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a techie, side of some of our clients that really would love to put the goggles on and see it all.
I've gotten the opportunity to put them on and try them at trade shows, and I kind of get this nauseous feeling as well. Like my kids got those little VR headsets, and we would do this, and I feel like I'm going to fall off a plank. But it's not something that I want to put a virtual headset on every day and walk around. Sorry, Apple. But I think that, there is, as technology improves, as with software for architects, do you have any concern about the technology that could be out there or that's coming?
Well, I think everybody in the world is worried about AI, and is that, and we've fiddled a bit with that. Just asking for comments on, you show them a picture to, upload it in the computer, and will generate this whole dialogue about what the emotions that are created. And
that's a little scary.
But. Are they going to be able to do my job? Yeah, I suppose so at some point.
Yeah.
The question is, can they do it well? Don't know,
right? So on one side we have AI, on the other side we have how you started. Because really, you didn't use computers back in the day. Tell me how you used to do it.
Computers hadn't been invented when I started. No, everything we did was drawn by hand. And there was a long, long time I resisted switching to computers. And once I did, I really wanted to go back to hand drawing.
And why is that?
Well, I mean, part of it is, people say, oh, it's got to be faster. And it's like, no, because we used to, we could turn out a house a day.
Yeah.
By hand. It's
really?
Like, yeah, you're drawing the elevations, I'm drawing the floor plans, and you take care of the structures. That logic probably still applies. You need to be able to share things now. So I mean, doing things by hand just doesn't make sense. I think it is a lost art form.
Yeah.
I still do a little bit of handwork just for presentation purposes. I've had even well-heeled clients say, no, Karl, I'll show them something that was generated on the computer. They'll look at it and say, no, it doesn't have that feel. And we'd go in back and lay down a piece of tracing paper and trace it by hand. And they'd look at it and say, oh, yeah.
So there's something that the hand drawing brings it to life.
Right. But, nobody does. Nobody does that anymore. You just can't.
I'm sure you can get the computer now to make it look like it's hand drawing.
I've tried to figure that out a bunch of times.
Yeah. Because there is, I mean, you're an artist with a pencil. And that art now has been transferred into the computer. So I'm so grateful that we have nail guns now and not having to use hammers every day. So, but time efficiency, you think about my dad as a master carpenter, they didn't have power tools.
Right.
I mean, they're hand saws and hammers and nails. And sure, it's more efficient, but is it the craft? It's changed the craft.
Right. So, yeah, we're all trying to figure out how to make it more lifelike or more, more artsy, because, the computer there's a level of sterility, or, it's just, everything's kind of the same, and it's the same hatch pattern.
And I think some of it has to do with where the market is at in their technological savvy. Because we have some clients who are older in age, and they're like, why would I want to look at a VR headset? They're like, that TV's too big, So, and then you get some of the younger up and coming generations that have grown up with it. That's what I think, into the future, maybe something that architects have to deal with and incorporate into their business practice. So
I agree. We're always looking at new technology, new, programs, add-on programs that, work with our 3D software.
Yeah.
And there is some fantastic stuff and most of this, I think they're using all gaming software.
I believe it.
So, you can put the trees in, and then you can say, I want it to be winter. And so you can see the leaves thin out, and
yeah.
And then the grass browns out. And
that's pretty phenomenal. So we talk about the craft turning to computer, but what about like current design ideas? What are some of it? Because you have a history of designing some really bad stuff in 1977 to, improving the design to stuff that is timeless. So what is it now that you think is what design trends, architectural design trends, do you see now and coming?
I think there's no stopping sort of this, modern or contemporary versions of more historic styles. I think that farmhouse, I'm thinking may be on its way out.
Mm-hmm. We're getting a lot more of, I don't want a modern farmhouse. I see 3 of them on my street now, right?
Right. So I think that sort of has had its run, and we've seen these runs, from, when I got into the business, it was, I don't know what style you'd call it, but it was channel rustic cedar siding and brick.
Yeah.
412 roof.
That was it.
Simple forms. And then, we went through the whole Mediterranean, Tuscan, where we beat that to death.
Yeah.
Then I think it was a big prairie, more traditional prairie forms, Craftsman prairie, and but now I think the modern. I think it's got a good hold, and I think there's a lot of interesting iterations of it that can be used where you mix it with the prairie, with some of these other historic elements that can really create a nice, sort of a new form.
Yeah, a new form. That's what we're going to coin it.
I like that.
It's not contemporary or modern. It's new form architectural design.
And we don't have to call it transitional.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means. Transitional from what period to what?
That just means we don't know what to call it.
Because I see, back to a whole community being rebuilt in Boulder, Louisville, Lafayette, and no HOAs anymore, and people are really getting to do a hodgepodge of everything. I like that. Some people don't, but I really prefer seeing all these individuals, because I think the architecture can have a voice for who you are as this is my home.
I agree, and I've talked to a lot of people. I mean, I am into wild diversity of architecture in these subdivisions, and I've certainly talked with that to developers and individuals as well. And I think it's a 60% of the people will go along with you, and then some people say no, it should all be homogenous.
Yeah.
It's sort of like when I was just coming up in the business. I had a mentor tell me, he says, you pick one style and you never change.
Oh, wow.
You become the master of that style. And I remember thinking, that sounds really boring.
Yeah.
I think we've been really lucky here to be able to do these, amazingly diverse styles side by side. I go out, you go out to the East Coast and it's like, brick two-story, brick two-story, brick two-story, and it's, I feel really lucky that we've been able to build what we built.
Yeah, it's fun. That's what I mean, it's fun. It's not the same thing every day. And a lot of the developers do it for efficiency.
Right.
Building a custom home isn't always as efficient. It can be more costly because you're not working out all the efficiencies and you're not building the same model, you stick to that design every single time.
I was talking to a friend that was buying a production home. It was an expensive production home, but they said there's literally no plans on the site because the guys have built it so many times.
They just know it because it's this repetitive. Yeah. So, Karl, another thing that you have been doing this for how many years now?
44.
44. And so what would you, as somebody who has that much experience and that much architectural wisdom, the bruises that you've had, the successes that you've had, don't take a picture of that house that I designed experience. What is it that you might give somebody who wants to come into architecture? What's some advice that you would give them on how to and what not to do?
So I think that the first thing I would say is don't do it. No.
Get out, run.
Exactly. Number one, I think you need to be passionate about it. I think it's something that a lot of people that I have known think that architects get paid like doctors and lawyers. Well, they probably get paid like doctors now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of doctors just don't make it. But people think, I'm sure it's a very lucrative business, and you got to work hard. I I worked hard my whole career. So yeah, you got to be passionate. You got to love it. I think people, especially coming out of school, there are still a number of schools I've seen people come out of, and these, kids are just not prepared to draw something. Just show me something. They could talk about theory and talk about, architectural history, but I think it's like expose yourself to some of these, programs that people are using to draw. And I've seen some relatively significant firms are using SketchUp or, and I think that's a relatively friendly,
application.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think and then secondly is go out and look at stuff. Go out and see how things really go together. I think that since I was working for builders early in my career, they expected me to be there. And the things we were doing were more of a guideline than a set of plans. So I spent a lot of time on site looking, and even years later, I'd be like, wow, is that how they do that?
Yeah. Understand how it goes together as much as how pretty the architectural design is.
Exactly.
Because that can really make or break a project as well. We'll get plans that somebody's designed, and you're like, how is that going to go together? Is there a magical staircase that just floats, or do we need a post here? And they're like, oh, I didn't remember that. We've had that happen.
Here again, I think that was one of the things that made me probably a better designer was I was having to work for these builders. And if there was a problem, you had a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You knew about
Get
it.
out here right now. And so some of the stuff we would do, I got to a point in my life where I was probably spending half my time on site. And I finally said, I think I need to put together a little better set of plans so that I don't have to spend half my time on your site.
So understanding how it goes together, be passionate about it, get out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So in your architectural journey, speaking of the different design styles, who are some of your architectural heroes that you've said, oh, this inspired me, or this is some famous architect?
I look at a lot of the contemporary architects today. I think the one for me that was probably made more of a difference in my career was Frank Lloyd Wright. I think that the guy was a nut.
Yeah.
He was an architect's architect.
Yeah.
Didn't care anything about, it was about his vision. That's not what we do.
No.
It's what's your vision.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he's one of the ones that, especially when you talk about exterior forms, sort of the organic, that really turned me on for a long time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you were going to go take Lisa, your wonderful wife, to a dinner in Boulder County, what restaurant would you be like, this is our go-to place, and why?
We don't go out to eat anymore. We have grandchildren.
That's not an answer. So if you were to go to a restaurant in Boulder County, where would you go?
So we go downtown Erie. We go to 24 Karat. We go to Corelli's.
24 Karat. That sounds like your answer. Like if that was, so I heard a little TikTok meme the other day where this guy said, this is how you get your spouse to tell you where she wants to eat. And he says, honey, you'll never guess where I'm going to take you to eat tonight. And you get her guessing, and then you're like, how'd you know? You guessed so well. So anyways, But Karl, we really appreciate you being on this show, and just enjoy our working relationship that we've had for 25 years, and for the future of the things that we have going. We got some really fun projects on the horizon.
We got some exciting stuff.
Yeah.
And, I as well look forward to a lot of years. I need a number of years still.
Yeah,
you may think I'm old, but
no, we're going after this. We got years ahead of us. And
I'm just hitting my stride here.
yeah, that's awesome. Well, again, Karl, appreciate you being on the show, and look forward to having you back, because we're going to be talking about some other projects in more detail as we go through this. So
happy to do it.
all right, appreciate you.